So just the other day, one of our developers in the Division community tweeted and actually put out a challenge for people in the community. This was a very interesting set of circumstances because the tweet, in my opinion, I felt was a very strong tweet to a very sensitive situation. I strongly believe, again, that a tweet like this could have probably been, in a sense, put differently, or at least, been presented in a way that welcomed a lot of conversation. But instead, because of, I think, the way it was put in, a lot of it attracted a lot of negativity and even, in my opinion, a lot of very harsh criticism. We'll talk about it in this video. Welcome to the Gamey Daddy channel. I haven't done a video in a while. I appreciate you guys for even clicking on this. I've been on a hiatus, working on some really, really fun stuff. So Frederick Thailander the other day on Twitter went ahead and said this in a tweet. He said, "I challenge anyone to show me an example of devs lying ever. Showing a feature in development that then has to change due to time, performance, design, or other factors is not lying. The only alternative is, if that's lying, is to stonewall and never show anything until ship day." Long thread. Everybody had to weigh in. People gave their examples. Some people ran away. I'm not going to deal with this. People were talking about all kinds of games. Anthem, all kinds of Cyberpunk, Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, people were throwing responses upon responses upon responses. Now, I think this is actually a valid question, to be honest, because we really have to address this, thing about lying. Like, what do we categorize as lying in the gaming scene, and what do people actually, sometimes misconstrue that may not be lying? I mean, that's a big conversation that we have to have. But I do not necessarily agree with perhaps the, I would say, unintended premise that game developers have never lied. I think that's another thing people read into it, like, oh, game developers never lie. If we just change a mechanic, or if we just decide to not do something and that we had promised in the past, then, it's not considered lying. I don't think that is a worthwhile argument that can be made. It's worth nothing. So as much as I like Frederick Thailander as a developer, and I actually do like him as a gentleman for the work that he's done in bringing some crazy mechanics to the Division, whether they were nerfs and buffs, whatever you want to call it, I have to disagree if that premise is somehow subtly intended in that statement. Now, I'm going to go ahead and provide a little bit more nuance to all of this because there are people on all sides. My job, I feel like these days, is to try to be the person that has to make sure everybody does not, jump on each other's necks, because I kind of inserted myself into this developer world because at some point I thought to myself, what is so special about this whole game development stuff? In fact, I made a video one time where I titled that game developers sometimes behave like they know everything. And sometimes, they would do well to exercise a little bit of humility and listen to their audience. But after making that video, I started to think about things differently. I said, I've never really walked in the shoes of a developer. What is that like? So I started asking that question, and, I've been answering that question, and it's been an interesting one. Maybe I'll come out learning something new, or maybe I'll come out being frustrated and learn nothing. So thinking about mechanics, I think we're just going to talk about that for this video because, man, if we had to discuss all the instances of lies and technical lies, we will never stop a video. We will do videos for years and we'll still be dealing with all of those issues. The premise is this: many developers have lied. I mean, we've seen it happen in many instances. Whether it be intentionally or unintentionally, lies have been told because marketing had pushed things and did not let anybody come out to correct anything, but wanted the product to get out there before everybody discovered that what was already announced or what was already in sense promised by developers was not going to be available for the game. We've seen this happen before. So whether it be the dev that lied or whether it be marketing that actually allowed to seem that the dev lied, lies have been told. And so that's just going to be the underlying premise of this. We're not going to sit here and say, oh, that's not something that hasn't happened. It has happened. We've seen it happen. We've seen publishers actually take measures of being dishonest, or in a sense, not letting their own developers come out to clarify things because of their own policies of, don't say anything, keep things under wraps, and all of that. So that's something that I have to establish in this video. But nonetheless, in changing features, I understand that there is a difficulty in the way features get delivered in video games. Now I actually do, in my opinion, see how developers and big teams could suffer from features probably not making it into a game because of all of what's intended in the game and what eventually is realistic. So I put myself in this situation where I've started messing around with trying to do game development, and I want to make a prototype. Since I decided to start this journey, I have probably started working on all kinds of different tutorials, and I've started building some mechanics that I don't even understand, that I've scrapped, that I've thrown away. And at the end of the day, I can tell you that even just my own process of changing things is frustrating to me. I have notes upon notes upon notes upon notes of these changes. This is just one of my Unreal Engine development PCs. This is another one where I have all of these projects and I've changed things. I have backups of backups of backup files that if I showed you how many files I've actually started of projects that I've not even done anything more than a few months of work, you just feel sorry for me and be like, you don't know what you're doing. You need to stop this. Now, if you actually take that and magnify that on a different scale, I think you'll understand that the difficulty is something that definitely will be exponential. You have to deal with multiple teams, different artists, different designers, different philosophies, different egos. All of that then adds up to even the fact that everybody is wrapped underneath a publisher. Potentially, you have some people who hate their jobs, and then you have some people who probably love their jobs too much. Put all of these together, you have hundreds of employees, and you might not get the game that you want. Another thing is marketing goes ahead and starts to create this hype that is probably way too much better than the game that you're going to release. And now you have a big issue of Cyberpunk 2077 on your hands. And so all of this together, I get it. I get it. I get it. My goal in this video is not to point out these problems. My goal in this video is to try to say, how can these be solved? And that is why I actually titled this video something along the lines of Bridging the Gap. I believe right now, relationships between developers and players are in a very bad state. In fact, way worse than it's been since I've actually been in this space of gaming on the public stage in terms of, talking on Twitter and social media and YouTube. I see a huge, deep distrust from player bases, towards a lot of the developers, especially the developers that are growing super big or developers that are under big, huge publishers. And these relationships are not mending in any way. In fact, I think the corporate side of things may be what people are feeling like. These corporate, decisions don't necessarily care about their player bases. The way they approach these things don't feel like they care about their community. Back in the day, the way they did things when they were growing seemed like they were much more pro community than they are now. And I think these are the weaknesses of large and bigger corporations. The bigger they grow, the more they continue to forget a lot of the things that really made them grounded, because now they think in their minds that they're operating at a different level. Now, they kind of are, but they have to also understand that in order to sustain that level, they still have to make sure that their foundations are built very strong. So here's my encouragement to anyone that's a developer. I think I get some of the frustrations. I don't get it all. I get some of it. I think in your own estimation and in your own defense, you have to really work with your publisher's mandates or your studio's mandates, at risk of losing your job if you were to try to subvert that. I get it. But again, I think it's also your responsibility to at least try creative ways to allow for your audience and your community members to know that you are in some sense, in some sense working for their own benefit. And how this has to happen, to be very honest, I don't know. I think that is their job as, the development studio to come up with these means. For the Division 1 and even part of the Division 2, the state of the game was that methodology. That was the means that they used. It wasn't perfect. In fact, a lot of people didn't really like the format. Some people didn't like the presentation. Some people didn't like the fact that it was really, in a sense, very scarce with information, but it was the way that they actually just tried to do it. Now, state of the game is no longer a thing. It's now become a problem. I remember people will get on state of the game and they will cuss out the developers. They'll cuss out the comm devs that came on there and, make fun of them and all of that. Now there's no state of the game. It's also now a problem. If you understand how it is, there's this weird push and pull and this weird tug of war. But again, at the end of the day, the customer is the one that's keeping your job. So in some cases, you got to take dirt from the customer. Let's not cry about the customer being bad. If I told you what I did for work and told you the things I had to struggle with from the people that I serve, I have no pity for you. Sorry, as a developer, those of you who know what I do, I have no pity for these guys. I understand them. I actually, in my own way, I try to come and bat for them them and actually give them the benefit of the doubt, the developers, but I don't have any pity or sympathy in any way because we're all here trying to, get that bag and do our jobs. I get it. But in terms of gaming, we're looking at a higher standard in terms of multi-million-dollar IPs and all of the others. So this is where I think that rub needs to be sorted out. These videos probably will not make their way to the publishers. Maybe the developers may watch them, maybe they don't watch them. But what could be done better? What could be done better is a lot of communication, a lot of exposition, a lot of exposure as to what the game development process can look like in many cases. Now, this seems like a very difficult thing, and I get it. But Massive Ubisoft, you're not new to this. You've actually done something like this in the past. I have to go ahead and I have to also iterate this one stream where a developer in Massive came to a stream and did a 3-hour environment, or I would call level development stream, where they took one mission and converted it into another mission live on stream. The name of this developer is Dynasty. That is their name. He's actually an artist or something like that, and he has a Twitch channel, so he does a lot of art stuff. I remember there was a state of the game, a 3-hour state of the game. He came in, he took Hudson Refugee Camp from the Division 1. Hudson Refugee Camp is a mission in Division 1. Those of you who play Division 1, you know it. And it's actually a cleaner's mission. He took that mission, changed up all the assets in about two or so hours, and made it an LMB mission right in front of everybody's eyes. Did the snow, did the LMB trucks, removed a lot of the cleaner stuff, the decals on the wall. He did all that stuff right in front of us using the Snowdrop engine. The only copy of that video in existence is on SkillUp's channel, and that video has been made private. I think Ubisoft Massive did not want that video out there because they probably just wanted to keep their Snowdrop engine a lot more under wraps than anything else. Now, at risk of actually, putting that kind of stuff out there, I think it's actually necessary that they do things like that, maybe once a quarter, if time does not allow. Simple things like these go a long way and create a very strong impression. I remember very clearly how much of an impression that made on me as a content creator when I started my YouTube channel in my garage in 2016 or so. Well, I think it was maybe a 2017 stream they did that. But I remember that I was like, man, if they do something like this to just show the community how much work they put in, I will stick with this game for a long time. And I think it's impressions like that that's made me as a content creator even stick with this game this long. But now, for those who may have been somewhat new or maybe who didn't experience a lot of those interactions with the developers, I think their lack of communication is starting to, basically allow for that connection to wane. And I think this is a very viable solution that is, in a sense, unique to Massive because it's not something they haven't done in the past. So I'm not giving a solution to, say, Bungie. I'm not giving a solution to, say, Rockstar or Bethesda Studios or anybody else. This solution, in my opinion, is very much tailored to Massive. You guys started something that was really good. It was rough. It was, in a sense, painful. I mean, you had people who were hurt, who were attacked in the process. You had gamers who felt betrayed, who felt like they were cheated in the process. But does that mean that anybody has to stop? If Massive truly, you guys at Massive, if you truly are who you are, a development studio who used to make a lot of side games for other Ubisoft studios that eventually broke records with Ubisoft, I believe you guys are up to the task. I think many times it's just them just shying away for the meantime. Now, also, I have to also mention this. There's the time to say, we're keeping quiet to get work done. And I think right now they may be in that phase. But again, before the phase came around, they didn't basically go to the front of the community and say, hey, this is what's going on. We're not going to have a state of the game for like the next few months. Why? Because we're working. I think that statement would have resonated a lot longer to the community. But in all the chaos, all the cahoots, I think a lot of communication has fallen through the cracks. This is really detrimental for this relationship between developers and even the players. And so we go back to that tweet and we say, for a dev to actually make a tweet like that, they may have been feeling a little bit of this rub that players can actually, dish out when it comes to the conversations between, developers and gamers. And the way gamers responded really revealed that there is a very, very poor relationship going on right now. So my deal is, I think we need to basically approach each other as human beings. Sure, people lie all the time. We've all lied. So if we want to hold that standard and say, oh, you know, if they lied, then they are not worth my time or whatever, or they're beneath human or whatever it is, then sure, that's your own stance. But if you want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, you know, I know you lied at this point, and I feel like you lied, but I hope you're able to basically take a turnaround and deliver on your next promise and not lie again. And if you feel like they're not going to deliver on that next promise, the best thing you can do as a gamer is to hold on to your wallet. Don't spend any money on these devs if you believe that they're lying and they can never turn around from what it is that they're doing. If not, you're going to be disappointed again, because they're most likely going to change features, do the exact same thing, and probably never learn from all what we're advising them to do in our videos. At that point, you have to make up your mind and say, I'm going to shift gears to another game, move to indie studios where the developers are actually much more open and will communicate much more truthfully to grow their brand. So this is a really weird situation, but I thought I'd make a video on it. And this is not even all I'm going to talk about it, because this video is already 15 minutes and I think I'm done. Let me hear your thoughts, though. Oh, my gosh. This community is so complicated, but I love it. You know, I've been a part of the community for a long time, and, you know, I'm going to stick here. I got to see how this stuff all plays out. But again, like I said, talk to me in the comment section. Hopefully we'll see in another video. Appreciate you guys so much. Peace out.